education. Their Homeland Security is feeding them. And that brings us up to your favorite little people, the Southern Poverty Law Center, who are sitting there dictating this kind of attitudinal policy through DHS, so that the fusion centers are getting what some idiot like Mark Potok or Morris Dees dreams up, and the government buys that crap from SPLC and from the ADL to have a program that will facilitate what the higher-ups, like in the Obama administration or in the City of London, want us to do. So the enemy is sitting overseas. He's got a camp here called Washington, D.C. that's under his control and not ours. That's why they don't listen to the people. You can put 2 million Tea Party patriots in Washington, D.C., and nobody says much about it. The government couldn't care less. They're on their own marching orders. And another thing about this NDAA, Oathkeepers, came out very early on with an idea of we, the people, must recall and remove every senator and legislator who voted for this NDAA bill, because they're either too stupid to see what they were doing and therefore don't deserve the job, or they knew it and did it deliberately. In either case, they don't deserve to serve the people, and they must be recalled or voted out of office, or whatever we can do lawfully to get rid of that kind of mentality in our Congress. So I don't know. We don't really know a clear marching order for here to give out to Americans everywhere, because all your different states have different constitutions. Some states can recall federal delegates and others cannot. And there's a lot of legal hoops to jump through. So we're trying to find out what is the best course and what can we do as the people out here to actually unify and make a stand against this level of tyranny is now, well, let's just say it's frightening.
I just did an article a few weeks ago basically called Deja Vu, because you know, I went out and started the militias in New Mexico with the Free American, advertised it nationwide, join the militias, start the militias, after what happened at Waco, because I recognized that was our tenement square, you know?
Yes, sir.
And this was using the military against the American people, exactly what they have now formalized and legalized by our traitorous Congress and Senate people. And suddenly I was demonized. Nationwide, worldwide, the ADL came out with armed and dangerous. The FBI came out with guide to right-wing extremists. Southern Poverty Law came out with false patriots. When I was working with a presidential candidate that wanted to abolish the Fed, Charles Collins. and you know, I didn't know anything. You know, I don't care what religion you are. Constitution covers that. You know, it's so you can be Jewish, you can be Muslim. You know, you want to stick your nose in the dirt out there and your ass up in the air. I'll even try to keep the Saint Bernard off of you. You know.
Yeah.
But the Constitution covers that. But then all of a sudden, you know, the attacks on me financially began, and they just didn't tell you. You know, it's one of those Mossad type of warfare by deception. I did start the militias. They just didn't tell you I did it in the governor's office, Governor Gary Johnson, who's running for president right now. Wasn't exactly a terrorist operation, you know?
I hear you, man. I hear you. And that's amazing. I must salute you for starting militias. One of the reasons we're in trouble today is we let the militias go dormant. There's hardly any well-regulated state-authored militias out there. And I'll tell you this, there's a gentleman over in Virginia named Dr. Edwin Vieira. He publishes a lot around the internet, especially over News with Views. But he is absolutely a master at explaining the purpose and role of the militia in the Constitution. And this guy, we call him a four-time recovering Harvard graduate because the guy's got 4 degrees from Harvard. He's addressed the Supreme Court. He writes books. He has a book right now out that's just absolutely a treasure called Constitutional Homeland Security. And he says the militia should be installed in every county, and the people of each county should all volunteer to be in that militia. And I'm talking school teachers, bus drivers, plumbers, blue-collar workers of all sorts, your business people, everybody, doctors and everybody should be in the militia. And at that point, the county is secure. And it's not that every one of them needs to carry a gun and take military firearms training for tactics and things. It's that if there is an emergency in this nation, if say we had a financial collapse, somebody would know how to secure the water supply for the local community. Somebody would know how to arrange food storage and what have you. Somebody would know how to get a impromptu border system up and running quickly. So everything in your local community and in your county would not need FEMA or the feds and the military coming into your county to establish law and order.
Now,
the county itself does it because the county is run by the people as the militia.
Just to clarify too, by U.S. code, every able-bodied male between the ages 18 and 45 is the militia. That is the people are the militia. When we were doing when I was working with Charles Collins, I had kind of a dual job. I was a speechwriter and bodyguard. And we went into a school, a college in Maine, where he was speaking. And the couple of the young men there were really paranoid. It was like, actually, what's the matter with you guys? Well, you're the militia, aren't you? And I said, how old are you, son? 22. Guess what? You're the militia too. You know, are you afraid? Are you afraid when you look in the mirror? Does that scare you?
Well, you told him the truth. Constitutionally, all of those people you just defined in the age limits that are able are the militia. And let me give you a ray of hope that's coming out of Montana.
Okay.
It hasn't got much coverage yet, but I'm sure you're familiar with the gentleman who back in 2008 ran on the Constitution Party ticket for the White House. That's Dr. Chuck Baldwin.
Chuck Baldwin, yes, sir. I've met Chuck. He's been on my show. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Last year, Chuck Baldwin and his family moved to Montana, claiming loudly that Montana could be the tip of the spear in the fight for freedom to save our country. And he thought the Lord had indicated he should be in Montana to be involved in the resistance to this tyranny. So he's up here, and he is now running for lieutenant governor in the state of Montana. And his senior partner there, the governor's candidate, is a gentleman named Robert Fanning. And Robert Fanning is a dues-paying Oathkeepers member. He is an anti-federal student. He's also an extremely well-qualified financial expert, having, I think he did 14 years at the Chicago Board of Trade, where he learned how these rats do the dirty tricks. He knows what the derivatives game was and everything relative to it. He knew what was happening on September 15th in 08 when the economy was destroyed. He is running for governor as a person who believes in going back to the Constitution and the rule of law. His proclamation is if he can get into the governor's seat, every county commission and every county in Montana will have a militia office. Okay, so every every county will have a militia office. All of the county citizens will sign up into that militia, and the militia will be in charge of Montana's alternative money system, which would be based on real assets such as, but not limited to, silver and gold, and give us an opportunity to establish a monetary system in the state of Montana that would compete against this counterfeit fiat Federal Reserve system that's presently threatening our nation. So that's really good news, and we're working right now we're just beginning the campaign to get these guys on the map, and we're going to be taking this to some national focus, because it works hand in hand with Ron Paul's campaign. And Clay, to tell you the truth, it's a little ray of hope, as we're starting to see the American people wake up enough and in large enough numbers to where they're willing to get out there, do the footwork, invest themselves into activism that will actually allow us to secure our states. If our states, under the 10th Amendment, are secured, they own that federal government. They can shut it down to whatever, they can put it back in its box as enumerated in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, and get it back into just what its enumerated powers are, and shut down everything else. They don't need a Department of Education that has corrupted 2 generations or 3 generations of Americans. It's not authorized. It doesn't have an excuse to even exist. And we've got a governor's candidate now. His name is Robert Fanning. You remember the name, because you're going to be hearing a lot about this guy. He wants the EPA, the BLM, the Forest Service, the DEA, the ATF, the FBI out of Montana, put them back in that 10 square mile pen they're supposed to stay in, because he won't invite them into Montana. And this guy, you cross your fingers, if we can get enough support and get him in office, you'll see county militias spring up overnight across Montana. You'll see an alternative money system established in Montana based on our state's mineral wealth and other natural resources.
Now, that's been done. There's North Dakota has a state bank, and they don't have any debt.
Well, and North Dakota is sitting over there right across, they're our neighbor to the east, and right across the state line, they're over there experiencing an economic boom like crazy because of that Bakken oil field over there.
Yes.
Some of that oil field is over here on the Montana side of the line, and it's hardly anything is being done there because the EPA and other federal busybodies have prevented Montana from taking access to all that oil. You're looking at a staggering domestic source of oil sitting there in North Dakota and Montana. And southern Canada has it too. It's a really big field. And I don't know, man, it's probably even bigger than what Iraq has.
It's bigger than they've got more, according to the experts, they got more than Saudi Arabia. But
well, I've actually heard that. It's even more than Saudi Arabia. I was trying to be conservative because I don't really know the figures, but it's staggering. And you've got decades and decades worth of all the oil we would need without buying it from anybody. So we are hoping to open up Montana to her natural resources by using those oil fields here in our state boundaries, and use that to base a sound money system that is backed by something other than the lies of the Federal Reserve, you know.
Now, almost 10 years ago, I went in and filmed the first Homeland Security meeting. After they rolled FEMA into Homeland Security, Colonel John Brinkerhoff was lecturing law enforcement in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he said, you know, in case of a nuclear disaster, an earthquake of sufficient magnitude, say along the New Madrid fault line, or an atomic explosion, then we'll need 400,000 to 500,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people, because some of them just won't take orders. A single outbreak of smallpox in our major metropolitan area, 400,000 troops. Are you talking about the National Guard, Colonel? No, they're too expensive. Besides, they're going to be in Iraq or Afghanistan or something. No, we need a cheap source of well-armed, well-trained troops. And there's, I believe it's an executive order that Obama signed. All these illegal aliens can if they sign up for the military here, they can get their citizenship. Now, this the UN has a rapid strike force. They're teaching the Chinese to speak English. They've got Chinese. This is all part of the one world government thing, and bringing the UN into the United States the way they did in Rhodesia.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. And I said, wait a minute. You got about as much chance of being killed by a terrorist in America as you do getting eaten by a great white in Phoenix.
That's right. It's all a farce. They almost every terrorist incident in this country that they have publicized has been an FBI sting. They create the terrorism. They use willful or useful dupes, like Timothy McVeigh. What was he other than a compliant idiot? He was a willing dupe.
Lee Harvey Oswald reincarnated.
Yeah, these guys are called surrogates. In your mind war, special warfare or unconventional warfare circles in the military, they call these kind of guys surrogates. The terrorists that they're going to publicize are surrogates. They have FBI handlers or CIA handlers or Mossad handlers or MI6 handlers. You've even got Pakistani ISI handlers running criminals over here in this country so they can induce them to do some kind of a quote-unquote terrorist act, make it look like they never knew the guy, and then all of a sudden he pops up and goes off and explodes something or tries to explode something. Then they've got another terrorist event to list in Homeland Security's feathers. Oh man, we just saved the country from that one. We spoiled that attack because we're so vigilant. They create them and then bust them, and the gullible American public keeps believing that because the media keeps driving it home to them that way. These guys there aren't any terrorists in America unless they're under surveillance by the FBI or the CIA or some other intelligence agency. They know where everybody is. They do it. They've known it for a long time. It's just disgusting. And it's obvious to those who dig in and start reading into it, start looking and digging up the hard questions to ask. It's obvious that this whole war on terror is a concoction. It is a designed, choreographed, planned situation to grow a police state so they can